Kanchi dama karikalaba kumbhastananata Parikshina madhye parinata sharachandravadana Dhanurbanan pasham Shrinimapi dadhana karatalaihi Purastadastam manaha Puramathituraho Purushika. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. In Lalita Sahasranama, we are seeing those namas that start with either Maha or Sarva. After seeing all those namas that refer to the Nirguna Swarupam of Ambal, the Vagdevis thought that, maybe we are telling no, because Nirgunam is no guna. Even though it is the most positive thing for Atman, it carries a very, very small negative connotation with it. And Vagdevis, they thought from our point of view. They put themselves in our shoes and they thought that, okay, maybe instead of telling everything as no, let us put a very positive spin. That is why we saw a lot of namas that starts with Sarva. Sarva means all. And Mahati, I have said, Mahati means very big. So Sarva and Maha, all these namas, they have this prefix. And in the last class, we saw the last nama we saw in the last class was Mahapadaka. Just like how Bharatiyar asked, Enniya Mudidal Vendum, Nallave Ennal Vendum, Tinniya Nenjam Vendum, Telitha Nal Arivu Vendum, Panniya Pavam Yellam, Paridimun Paniye Pole, Nanniya Ninmunningu, Nasittidal Vendumannai, Mahapadaka is Panniya Pavam Yellam, Paridimun Paniye Pole, Nanniya Ninmunningu, Nasindidal. Adhukku perada Mahapadaka Nashini. Now we have to see the next nama, which is Mahamaya. Devi Mahatmyam, a shloka comes. Jnaninamapi chetamsi Devi Bhagavati Hisa. Balad Akrishya Mohaya Mahamaya Prayachati. Ambal is that Maya Swarupam of Brahman. Ambal is that Maya Shakti of Brahman who can even delude the greatest of Jnanis. Jnaninamapi chetamsi Devi Bhagavati Hisa. Bhalat Akrishya Mohaya. Ambal, because of her Maya Shakti, she can delude even the greatest of Jnanis. Why does Ambal so? Because only if some delusion happens, you will try to know your real Swarupam. Tamilla ஒரு வார்த்தை சொல்லுவா, குழம்பின குட்டையில தான் மீன் பிடிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா. குழம்பின குட்டையில தான் மீன் பிடிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா. If you want to obtain something, then there has to be some chalanam. What did they do? Amrita Mathanam. Parkadal was there. The ocean of Parkadal was there, and Amrita is ever present at the bottom of Parkadal, but Devas could not take that Amritam. Why? Because Amrita is settled in the bottom, and only when they induced Chalanam with the Mantara Mala, they had this Mantara mountain, and then they induced Chalanam with the help of that Mantara Malai, they obtained the Amritam. In the same way, we have this, samsaram from Anadi Kala. Without any beginning, we have this samsaram, and only when we understand the Maya Shakti of Ambal, and only we have that delusion, only when we have that delusion, and more importantly, only when we understand that we have this delusion, we will seek the truth and get self-knowledge. Mahamaya. Jnaninamapi chetamsi Devi Bhagavati Hisa. Balatakrishya Mohaya Mahamaya Prayachati. In the beginning of the Lalita Sahasranamam class, and maybe in another class as well, in Devi Mahatmyam class as well, I have told Ambal is that lock who has put us in samsara. Ambal is that lock who has put us in the box of samsara, and we cannot open that box from inside. It has to be Ambal who has to open that box from outside if we want to get out of samsara. Yaru putnalo avalala dhan tharakka mudiyum. So Ambal is that Maya Shakti who also puts us into samsara, who also dilutes. But because of Ambal's karuna, she also releases everybody out of samsara, Maha Maya. Next, Mahasattva. The two namas, Maha Maya and Mahasattva, should be taken together. They are two different namas. Maha Maya Yai Namaha and Mahasattva Namaha. They are two different namas. But if we want to understand the fullest potential, we have to study these namas together. What is Mahasattva? Maha Maya, we understand. Maya is the one that puts Brahman into delusion. Okay. Now the question arises, does that mean Maya is a different entity than Brahman? There are two entities. There is a Brahman and there is Maya, and Maya is that substance which deludes Brahman into samsara. Is that so? Shastra says, hey, no. Ambal, she is Mahamaya. She is also Mahasattva because Sattvam, that defines Brahman. Sat, Chit, Ananda. What is Sat? That is Chit. What is Chit? That is Ananda. So Sat, Chit, Ananda, it is all Brahman. Even though Ambal is Mahamaya, even though Ambal is Maya Shakti, she is Abheda. She is non-different from Brahman. That is what the Vagdevis wanted to say. That is why right next to that Mahamaya Nama, they put Mahasattva. What is Mahasattva? What is Sat? Sat means existence. Sat literally means existence. Whatever the object that we can think of, whatever the object that exists in this universe, they all will have different name. They all will have different form. They all will have different function. But what is that one common thing that is present in all of those objects? Here is a computer. Here is my laptop. There is an alarm clock. There goes a car. In all of these statements, there is one thing that is common. Even though when I say here, it represents, something that is near to me. When I say there, it represents something that is far away from me. Even though when I say computer, it has a separate form, function, etc. When I say there is a car, car has got a separate form, function, etc. But there is one thing that exists common in all of these objects, and that is the word is. There is a car. Here is my computer. What that is signifies? The term is signifies they all exist. Only when something exists, we can transact with that term, right? And where does all those things derive their existence from? Mahasattva, from Ambal, from Brahmaswarupam. If we go deeper into Vedanta, the word Sat has got a lot of esoteric meanings, which we are not going to see right now. There is a beautiful nama that comes later, Satyajnanantarupa, Samarasya Parayana, Satyajnana Anantarupa. When we deal with that meaning, when we deal with that nama, we will see elaborate meaning for the word Sat, Sattva, Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam, because that is the very definition of Brahman as said in Upanishad. Satyajnanam Anantam Brahma, says Taittiriya Upanishad. So when we see that nama, we will see the meaning of the word Satya elaborately. But now understand that Sat means existence, and Brahman is the one which lends existence to all the objects that are there in the universe. So Mahamaya represents the Maya Shakti of Brahman. Mahasattva represents the Sattva Swarupam, represents the existence, Sat Swarupam of Brahman. So taken together, Mahamaya and Mahasattva, they say these two things are not separate things altogether, but these two are one and the same. Shakti, Shaktimatayoho abhedaha. When I am there, when I have a power to speak, myself and my power to speak cannot be separated. How can I separate myself and my power to speak? So Shakti, Shaktimatayoho abhedaha. In the same way, Maya, Brahman is Sat, Maya is the Shakti of Brahman. So Brahman is, Maya is the Shakti, Brahman is Shaktiman. When we say Shaktiman, the one who wields that power is called as Shaktiman. So Maya is that Shakti. Sattva, Mahamaya refers to the Shakti, Mahasattva refers to the Shaktiman, the wielder of Mahamaya, and both are not different from each other, because there are some philosophies which will say these two, Purusha and Prakriti, are different from each other. There are schools of philosophy, but Advaita school of philosophy and Tantric schools of philosophy will not differentiate between these two. That is why these two namas are right next to each other. Mahamaya, Mahasattva, and Mahashakti. Ambal has got a lot of Shakti. What is lot of Shakti? She is the one who maintains the order of the universe. Bhisha smat vatah pavate bhishodeti suryaha. Veda says the sun rises every day. You know, scientists say the age of the universe is some billion years, and the age of the solar system is some million years. And all those time, sun is there, and sun, the what makes sun the sun? You know, it gives out light, it gives out heat, and Bhumi is also there. From the formation of earth, sun always rises in the east, sun always sets in the west. Maybe you can tell it in the other way. You know, earth only turns in a certain way. It does not go in the other way, even though it can. If there is a chaos, everything can be possible. But everything in this universe is an order. Why? Upanishad themselves answer that. Bhishasmadvatah pavate bhishodeti suryaha. It says poetically, the sun rises because it has a fear for that Brahmavastu. Vatah pavate. When we touch fire, no matter where we touch the fire, no matter at what time we touch the fire, it is going to be hot. It is going to hurt you. Why? Because the fire, it maintains its nature out of fear for that Brahmavastu, says Upanishad. It is a very poetical expression. It says Brahmavastu is that one which maintains the order in this universe. How? Because of Brahmans, because of Ambal's Mahashakti. Remember, a very similar nama we have seen before. Probably 110 nama or 109th nama is Mahasakti. There we split that nama as Maha and Asakti. Here it is Mahashakti. In Lalita Sahasranamam, there is no Punarukti dosha. What is Punarukti dosha? Uktam means told. Punarukti, telling the same thing again and again. In Lalita Sahasranamam, no nama repeats twice. If we observe the namas very, very carefully, either there will be a small difference like this. That is a different sa. This is different sha. That is Mahasakti. This is Mahashakti. Either the word itself will be, there will be a small difference in the word, or we will split the nama differently. That I will demonstrate when such namas come. But remember, There it is Mahasaktihi. Here it is Mahashaktihi. And next is Maharatihi. What is Rati? Rati means happiness, indulgence is called as Rati. Yastvatma ratireva syat atmatriptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate, says Bhagavan Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Yastu atmaratihi eva syat atmatriptascha manavaha. The one who's ever satisfied in himself, atmatriptascha manavaha. The one who is ever happy in himself, who ever abides by himself, who is ever satisfied with himself. Yastu Atma Ratihi, who ever enjoys himself. Enjoys himself means we cannot even do that now. We have this body, we always want to be in contact with a lot of things. If internet is not there, we don't know what to do. I cannot watch YouTube. I cannot do anything. If power goes away, I don't even know what I will be doing. People even now, they dread for blackout or they dread for internet outage. Remember 50 years ago, there was no internet. 100 or 200 years ago, there were no power. People were living very, very happily by then. But now, because we all got used to these sense pleasures, we all got used to these vishayaha, we cannot know what to do without them. We don't know what to do without them. But what does Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Yastu atmaratihi eva syat atma triptascha manavaha atmani eva cha santushtaha. The one who is ever satisfied with his own self, tasya karyam na vidyate. He does not do, he need not do anything. That is how all these sannyasis are there. Sannyasis, they will never derive pleasure from outside. All the pleasure that they have, they derive them from their own self. In the same way, Ambal is Maharatihi, meaning what? Ambal is that happiness derived out of the own self, Maharatihi. Ambal gives happiness. Ambal gives pleasures to all those jnanis from her own self, without need of any external help. Maharatihi, Mahabhoga, Mahabhoga. This nama can be split into two different ways, Mahabhoga and Mahabhoga. Mahabhoga, for her devotees, Ambal gives everything. Dhanam tarum, kalvi tarum, urunalum talarvariya manam tarum, தெய்வ வடிவம் தரும், நெஞ்சில் வஞ்சமில்லா இனம் தரும், நல்லனையெல்லாம் தரும் அன்பர் என்பவர்க்கே கனம் தரும் பூங்குழலால் அபிராமி கடை கண்களே. தனம் தரும். If you want money, she will give money. கல்வி தரும். If you want knowledge, she will give knowledge. ஒரு நாளும் தளர்வரியா மனம் தரும். If you are feeling little bit off, Ambal will spread that positivity in one's own life. Manam tarum, Deiva Urunalum, Talarvaria, Manam tarum, Deiva Vadivam tarum. Ambal will give her own form to you. Ninjil Vanjamilla, Yenam tarum, Nallana Yellam tarum. Abhirama Pattar, he started to enlist the Palan of Ambal, the Palan of Ambal's Upasana, and he was so tired. He said, Dhanam tarum. Okay, people respect lot of money, right? So he said Dhanam tarum. And then he thought, oh, no, not everybody respects money. There are some intellectuals who will respect only the buddhi. And then he said Kalvi tarum. And then he said, okay, what is the use of Dhanam and Kalvi? What is the use of money and knowledge if somebody does not have any self-motivation? So he said, Urunangalum talarvariya manam tarum. And then he said, okay, this is only Vyavaharika. This is only Laukika people. There will be an other set of people who is not interested in, either money or, dry intellect or motivation. They always wanted to do meditation upon Ambal. They always wanted to do, a lot of sadhanas. So he said, Deva Vadivam Tarum, Nenjil Vanjam Illa Inam Tarum. And then he said, okay, hey, I am a mere mortal. I cannot even start to enlist. What is the Ambals? What is the palan of doing Ambals Upasana? So he said, okay, stop it. Nallana ellam tarum. Whatever there is a good thing, Ambal will give. We don't even have to find out, okay, this is there, this is there, this is there, this is there. I don't even know. I don't even know how to enlist. So he said, Nallana ellam tarum. Remember that shloka from Ramayana. Kambar says, Veyyonoli tanmeniyin virisodiyin maraya, பொய்யோ எனும் இடையாளோடும் இளையாடோடும் போனான் மையோ மரகதமோ மரிகடலோ மழைமுகிலோ ஐயோ இவன் வடிவென்பதோர் அழியா அழகுடையான். He started enlisting how what is the beauty of Rama, and then Kambar said, okay, at one point of time, no, I don't know, ஐயோ என வடிவென்பதோர். He said like that. In the same way, Abhirama Pattar here he says, நல்லனையெல்லாம் தரும் அன்பர் என்பவர்க்கே கணம் தரும் பூங்குழலால் அபிராமி கடைக்கண்களே. So Mahabhoga, she gives everything to her devotees. Mahabhoga and Maha Abhoga. Abhoga means what? Abhoga means Ambal is so spread out. Ambal is in the form of entire prapancha, that is called as Abhoga. Akashat Vayuhu, Vayoragnihi, Agneraapaha, Adbyah Prithvi, Prithivya Voshadayaha. Says Upanishad, it is that Atma Vastu, Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. From that Atma Vastu, Akasha was born. From that Akasha, Vayu is born. Akashat Vayuhu, Vayoragnihi. From that Vayu, Agni is born. Agneraapaha. From that Agni, from that fire, water is born. Adbyah Prithvi, from that water, earth is born. Prithivya Oshadayaha, Oshadibhyonnam, only from that Prithvi, all the other things are born. So Ambal is that material cause for the entire Prapancha. Maha Abhoga and Mahaishwarya. Maha Aishwarya says Vagdevi is, what is Aishwarya? Vibhutir Bhutir Aishwaryam, says Nikanto. Whatever that is there, it is the Vibhuti of Ambal. It is the Aishwaryam of Ambal. Anything that is present in this universe, that is Ambal. Anything that is present in this universe, that is Brahmavastu. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, there is a whole Adhyaya, Dashamodhyayaha, called as Vibhuti Yogaha. You can compare this to the Dashamaskandam of Bhagavatam. Dashamaskandam, what is the Dashamaskandam in Bhagavatam says, Krishna Janmashtami, it just went. Dashamaskandam refers all about Krishna, right? So Krishna himself in the Vibhuti Yoga says, Arjuna asked Krishna, hey Krishna, can you please tell, all the Vibhutis? Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutincha janardana bhuya khatayas triptihi shrinvato nasti me mritam. Bhagavan uvacha. Bhagavan says, aham atma gutakesha sarvabhutashaya sthitaha ahamadischa madhyancha bhutanam antamevacha adityanam aham vishnuhu jyotisham raviram shuman marichir marutasmi nakshatranam aham chashi vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana rudranam shankarachasmi vittesha yaksharakshasam vasunam pavakaschasmi merushikhharinam aham purodhasam cha mukhyam mam vittipartha brihaspatim senaninam aham skandaha Sarasamasmi Sagaraha. He says, whatever thing that is superior in this universe, Arjuna, it is my own form. If Atma is not there, how can there be anything that is in this universe? You go to a jewelry shop and there is a beautiful haram made up of gold. What we do? There will be small nugget, there will be small ornaments nearby. Probably we went to buy a very small ring or a very small chain. And then we went to that store and then we asked, hey, can you please show me some chains? You know, what will that store guy do? He will not show you the chain that you wanted. Probably you want like 10-gram chain. He will show you big haram. And then you will be so fascinated with the haram. But what is there to understand? The chain is possible, the haram is possible only because of the gold. If gold does not exist, if the gold is not there, both the chain or the haram, they will never be possible. It is that gold which lends existence to the chain, which lends existence to the haram. It is the whole that lends beauty to the chain, that lends beauty to the haram. Remember, if we are buying 10 grams of 10 gram, gold chain that is 10 grams, whatever the amount of gold in that chain, it is going to be 10 grams. Not even 1 milligram of thing other than the gold will be there in the chain, in a gold chain. In the same way, in this entire universe, only Ambal is there, and whatever the beauty that is present in this universe, it is only Ambal's beauty. It is the Aishwaryam of Ambal. Normally, we think Aishwaryam as money. That is not correct. Aishwaryam means Ishwara Tanmai. The Ishwara-ness is called as Aishwaryam. In Tamil, for some reason, we said Ashta Aishwaryam, blah, blah, blah. Naraya Panam, Naraya Sampattu, abdin nenachindrukom. But Aishwaryam means Vibhuti. Aishwaryam means the lordshipness. Ambal as the material cause for the universe. Ambal as the Brahma Vastu. She is the Ishwara for this entire creation. Mahaishwarya, Mahavirya, Mahabala. What is Viryam? Viryam is that unique nature of an object is called as Virya. I take a very nice rose flower. What is the unique thing in that rose flower? It is so soft to touch and it is so nice to smell. So the touch and the smell, that is the Viryam of that rose flower. I go see a Simham, a lion. What is the Viryam of that lion? That majestic look, that majestic gait, it roars. That is the Viryam of that lion. What is the Viryam of elephant? Yana Gati abdimba. The elephant Gati, the way that elephant moves, it is so beautiful. Gajagati. It is so beautiful. So that is the Viryam of that elephant. And Ambal is that thing which gives Viryam to all those objects. Mahavirya and Mahabala. Bala, Ambal is the one that gives balam, that gives strength to everybody. Whatever thing that has got any strength, and that strength is derived from Ambal. Idu nammale paakalam. Ortharukku balame illa. If somebody is so tired, if somebody does not have any energy, what do we say? எனக்கு சக்தியே இல்லப்பா அப்படிங்கிறோம். We don't say எனக்கு சிவனே இல்லை. We don't say எனக்கு முருகனே இல்லை. We don't say எனக்கு விஷ்ணுவே இல்லை. We say, oh, I don't have any Shakti. We all know intuitively that Ambal is the one who gives Shakti to all of us. That is why Ambal is called as Mahabala, Mahabuddhihi, Mahasiddhihi, Mahayogeshwareshwarihi. Mahabuddhihi, just balam is not enough. You also need to have intellect. Yasmin Vijnate Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavatiti. Previously, I have told this thing. What is that knowledge? By knowing which I will have knowledge about all the things about this universe. Last class or the class before that, we discussed this in detail. Ambal is that knowledge by knowing which we know everything about everything in this universe. Mahabuddhihi, Mahasiddhihi. There are Ashtama Siddhis. Anima Siddhe, Lahima Siddhe, Mahima Siddhe, Garima Siddhe, Prapti Siddhe, Ishitra Siddhe, Vashitra Siddhe, Prapti Siddhe, Prakamya Siddhe. Ambal is that one who is in the form of all the siddhis. That is why when we do Navavarana Puja, people who do Navavarana Puja will know this. All these siddhis are present outside the Avarana. These siddhis are present in the first Avarana itself. Anima Siddhe, Lagima Siddhe, Mahima Siddhe, Ishitva Siddhe. All these siddhis are present. Animadibhiravritam Mayukaihi Aham Yityeva Vibhavaye Bhavanim. Even in that shloka, Ambal is said to be worshipped by Animadibhiravritam. Ambal is said to be worshipped by all those siddhis. Ambal is that source from which all those siddhi devis, all those devis derive their siddhi from. That is why Ambal is called as Mahasiddhi. We will see about, we will see elaborately about Sri Chakra at a later time, but know that all these siddhis are present in the first avarana of the Sri Chakram. Mahasiddhi, Mahayogeshwareshwari, Mahayogeshwaraha Ishwari. She is the Ishwari. She is the goddess for all the Mahayogeshwaraha. Yoga, it is the most misunderstood term in these days. We think yoga is only a set of breathing exercises. We think yoga is a set of practice. It's a set of breathing patterns or is a set of exercises. But yoga means that. We are not contesting that, but yoga also has got a lot of other meanings. Yoga, the word yoga is derived from the word yuj, to join, to unite. What is happening when you do the yoga darshana, the practice of yoga? They say your body and mind get united. Yoga chitta vritti nirodhataha. So when your body and mind have arjavam, that practice is said to be yoga. But yoga also means a lot of things. In fact, moksha is called as yoga. Why? Because the Jivatma is uniting with the Paramatma. That is the Mahayoga. All these things are local yogas because they will give anything except moksha. But what is Mahayoga? Mahayoga is that abhyasa which unites the Jivatma with the Paramatma, or which makes oneself realize that Jivatma and Paramatma are eternally united. Mahayogeshwareshwari. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, in the terms of Bhagavad Gita, all the adhyaya is called as yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yogaha, Karma Yogaha, Jnana Yogaha, Bhakti Yogaha. He will give yoga to all those adhyaya. Why? Because it results in the yoga, it results in the joining, it results in the understanding of the yoga between Jivatma and Paramatma. Krishna says, Lokesmin Dividha Vidya Pura Prokta Mayanagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Hey Arjuna, Lokesmin Dvividha Vidya. There are two types of vidya. There are only two types of vidya which is good for you, Arjuna. All those vidyas, they are apara vidya. They are lower knowledge. It may do good for your mind. It may do good for your body. But what is good for the jiva? All these vidyas cannot do. But there are only two vidyas. Lokesmin dvividha vidya. Pura Prokta Mayanaga. I am not telling no, because Krishna is only probably 500 years ago. But Pura Prokta Mayanaga. Hey Anagha, hey Maya Pura Prokta. I told these things. Hey Arjuna, hey the sinless one. I told Maya Anagha Pura Prokta. What? Dvividha Vidya. What are those Vidyas? Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. Karma Yogena Yoginam. You do Karma Yoga. Palan Karuda Karmam is called as Karma Yoga. You do Karma Yoga. By doing Karma Yoga, what are you going to get? You are going to get Chitta Shuddhi. You are going to purify your mind. And once your mind is purified, you have to come to Jnana Yoga. What is happening in Jnana Yoga? You understand that You are non-different from that Brahma Swarupam. Ambal is Brahma Swarupam. And those people who practices this yoga are called as yogin. That is why Ambal is called as Maha Yogeshwareshwari. And then next shloka, Mahatantra, Mahamantra, Mahatantra. Sorry, next shloka is Mahatantra, Mahamantra, Mahayantra, Mahasana, Mahayagakrama Radhya, Mahabhairava Pujita. Mahatantra. There is a beautiful shloka in Saundarya Lahari. Chatushtya Tantraihi Sakalamati Sandhaya Bhuvanam Stitisthat Siddhi Prasava Paratantraif Pashupatihi Purastwan Nirbandhat Akhila Purusharthaika Ghatanaha Swatantram Te Tantram Kshititalam Avati Taradidam. Acharya says to Amba, Hey Amba, Parameshwara has composed 64 tantras. Tantras, they are, they are like very speciality knowledge. We can define tantra as, a specialized knowledge is called as tantra. Parameshwara has composed a lot of tantras. All these tantras, agamas, they are composed by Parameshwara. Parameshwara has composed 64 major tantras. But the problem is, they are incapable of showing Ambal directly. They will lead to Chitta Shuddhi, and that Chitta Shuddhi, with that purified mind, you will attain Ambal. But that is taking a long route. So what did Ambal say? Because Ambal is Apara Karuna, right? Chatushtya Tantraihi Sakalam Ati Sandhaya Bhuvanam Stitastattat Siddhi Prasava Paratantraif Pashupatihi. They all will yield some Siddhi. But that Siddhi is not Atmajnanam. That Siddhi is not Ambal. That Siddhi is not Ambal. That Siddhi is not Parameshwara. Then Ambal, because she is Shri Mata, what did she say? Punaha Tvat Nirbandhat Akila Purusharthaika Ghatana. Ambal then imposed on Parameshwara. Ambal then nagged on Parameshwara. Appelande ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கு புருஷன் ஒன்னு பண்ணலனா பண்ணு சொல்றதுக்கு. Ambal then nirbandhat. Ambal did nirbandham, says Acharya. Punastwan nirbandhat. Then what did Parameshwara do? Akila purusharthaika ghatanaha swatantram te tantram kshititalam avati taraditam. Then Parameshwara composed this greatest tantra called as Sri Vidya Tantra, the phalam of which is Ambal herself. So Ambal, Mahatantra, she is in the form of Sri Vidya Tantra. Sri Vidya is the Tantra. What did I say about Tantra before? Tantra is that thing which unites mantram and yantram, right? So what is the Prayoga Vidhi for Sri Chakra Puja? How do you do Antaryagam? How do you do Bahiryagam? All these things are said in the Sri Vidya Tantra. And according to Adi Shankaracharya, he is nothing but avataram of Parameshwara. So he has the first-hand knowledge of all the things that happened. And this Tantra happened because of the Nirbandham of Ambal. It also says that whenever wife asks you to do something, just to please do. Punastwan nirbandhat akila purusharthaika ghatana swatantram te tantram kshititalam avati taraditam. This is the Mahatantra of Ambal, Mahatantra aspect of Ambal. Then what is Mahamantra? Ambal, previously I have said Sarvamantra Swarupini in the Namola Vandadu. And Ambal, of those Saptakoti Mahamantras, there are said to be 7 crore Mahamantras that are present in this universe. Of those Mahamantras, of those mantras, Panchadasakshari and Shodashakshari. These 2 mantras are called as Mahamantras. Shodashakshari, it is a derivative of Panchadasakshari. So Panchadasakshari is the Maha Mantra, and Ambal is in the form of Panchadasakshari. Previously, we have seen, Mula Mantratmika, Mula Kutatraya Kalebara, and the Nama Alam Patham. How Ambal is from Shiras to, her face is the first Kuta, and then Kanthada Katiparyanta Madhyakuta Swarupini, and then Shakti Kuta Ikadapanna Katyado Bhagadarini. Mula Mantratmika, Mula Kutatre Kalebara. So that is the Maha Mantra aspect of Ambal. Ambal, who is present in the form of the Panchadasakshari mantra, Maha Mantra. There is also a Saundarya Lahari shloka that corresponds to the Panchadasakshari mantra. Normally, in those days, people will not write down mantras as it is. Whenever they want to write, they will never write things down. Only all those writing came, probably 500 or 600 years. And before that, it is always transmitted orally. But even when they are transmitting orally, they will not tell that mantra explicitly. That is why even in Saundarya Lahari, Acharya tells what is the Panchadasakshari mantra. But when you read that shloka, you will not find that mantra. He has encrypted. You need to have a decryption key in order to decrypt that mantra, in order to decrypt that shloka into the mantra. I can tell you the shloka. Shiva Shakti Kamaha Kshitirathara Vishita Kiranaha Smaroham Sashakraha Tadanucha Paramaraharayah Ami Hrullekabhihi Tisrubhiravasaneshu Ghatita Bhajante Varnaste Tava Janani Nama Vayavatam. This shloka and Smaram Yonim Lakshmi, that shloka that comes next, both the shlokas, they will tell in detail what is the Panchadasakshari and Shodasha, how to derive Panchadasakshari and Shodashakshari mantra. So Maha Mantra and Maha Yantra, even though there are a lot of yantras, there is Bhuvaneshwari Yantra, there is Maha Ganapati Yantra, there is Bala Tripura Sundari Yantra, there is Varahi Yantra, there is Matanki Yantra. The most important yantra for Sri Vidya is Sri Chakram. That is why Sri Chakram is called as Yantra Rajam. Yantra Rajam, the king of all the yantras, or Chakra Rajam, the king of all the chakras. Chakra Raja Niketana அப்படிங்கிற நாமா பின்னாடி வரப்போறது. There we will see even more detail. And Maha Yantra. So coming to Saundarya Lahari, Acharya has also composed the shloka to define this Maha Yantra, to define this Shri Chakram. Chaturbhi Shri Kantaihi Shiva Yuvatibhih Panjabhirapi Prabhinnabhih Shambho Navabhirapi Mula Prakritibhihi Chatuschatvarimshat Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya Trirekhabhisardham Tava Sharana Kona Parinataha. What is that Sri Chakram is composed of? Chaturbhishri Kantaihi Shiva Yuvatibhi Panchabhirapi. There are going to be four triangles that corresponds to Parameshwara. Chaturbhihi, four, Shri Kantaihi, Parameshwara, Chaturbhishri Kantaihi, and then Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. There are five triangles that are corresponding to Ambal. Ambal here is called as Shiva Yuvati. Shiva Yuvati Bihi Panchabhirapi. There are five triangles that are corresponding to Ambal. And when these four triangles that corresponds to Shiva and five triangles that corresponds to Ambal join, Prabhinnabhishambhoho Navabhirapi Mula Prakritibihi. So it forms 9 triangles. 5 plus 4 is 9. Chatuschatvarimsat Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya. And when these two triangles join, they form 44 small triangles. Actually, it will be 43 triangles plus 1 bindu. But here Acharya says, Chatuschatvarimshat, it will form 44 small triangles. Vasudala, Kalashra, Trivalaya, Trirekabhisardam. There is going to be 8 petals. There is going to be 8 lotus petals. Vasu, there are Ashta Vasus, 8 lotus petals. Kalasra, there are 16 kalas, that are Shodasha kalas. So there are going to be 16 lotus petals. Vasudala, Kalashra, Trivalaya, there will be 3 circles. Trirekabhisardham tava sharana kona parinataha. There is going to be 3 rekhas, there is going to be 3 straight lines. You know, the 3 bhupurams, all of these comprises the Maha Yantra of Ambal, the highest abode of Ambal. Maha Tantra, Maha Mantra, Maha Yantra, and Mahasana, Asana, seat. Mahasana, where do Ambal sit? Because wherever Ambal is going to be sitting, her seat has to be worthy of holding her. You cannot give an ordinary palagai to the President of United States. When he is going to sit, the chair has to be worthy. Even for the President of United States, he is a mere mortal, only there for 4 years. He can be, you know, he can be even made to resign. Even for that person, you have to find out a lot of good seat, find out the best seat among lots of seats. How about Ambal? Ambal is Chakraraja Niketana, Ambal is Simhasana, Srimat Simhasaneshwari solron illaya. So Ambal is sitting in that Simhasana, Mahasana. And also Ambal is present in each and everything that is surrounding in this universe. The universe, according to Shastra, is supposed to be comprised of 36 tattvas. 36 tattvas. What are tattvas? Tattvas, in my understanding, they are irreducible. You can compare it to that of atoms. People say atoms cannot be reduced from further. And then they say, okay, no, atom now comprised of proton, neutron, electron. You can reduce that atom into those. And then say, no, even that can be reduced into quarks, etc. Science will never settle. But according to Shastra, there are 36 tattvas. There are 36 irreductibles. And Ambal is present in all the 36 tattvas. So that is why Mahasana, Ambal is present in all the tattvas that are present in this universe, in this Jagat, in this Srishti. Mahayaga Kramaradhya, Mahabhairava Pujita. Beautiful Nama, Mahayaga Krama Aradhya. Aradhya, Aradhana, worshipped. Aradhya, the thing that is being worshipped is called as Aradhya. Mahayaga Kramaradhya. Krama Aradhya, worshipping properly, is called as Krama. Krama means a form, a protocol, a very detailed description of how to worship. A structured form of worship is called as Krama. Kramaradhya, and not ordinary Krama, but Mahayaga Krama. Ambal, there is a beautiful separate paddhati called as Mahayaga Krama in Sri Vidya. And this Mahayaga Krama can be split into 2 ways. It can be understood by in two different ways. The first way, or the lower way, is doing puja outside. Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. The Nama is going to come later. Antarmukha Samyag Aradhya. Antarmukha, if somebody is doing dhyanam of Ambal, if somebody worships Ambal internally, she is well worshipped. Antarmukha Sam Aradhya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. The Bahir Aradhana, whatever the Abhishekam that we do, it all has to be done. But if we just do them mechanically, it is not going to be of any use. Bahirmukha Sudurlabha, says Lalitha Sahasranamam. In the same way, the Mahayaga Krama is also of 2 types. The first type, the lower type, it is a Bahirmukha Yajna. You will invite many Ritviks. Whenever people do Vajpaya Yaga, all these yagas are there, right? So people will invite. You cannot do all the things by yourself. You should be inviting lot of rithviks. Paraspara sahayena அப்படினு நிறைய பேரை கூப்பிடுவோம். Everybody will have their own, everybody will have their agenda. Okay, you have to do this, you have to do this. Their work will be carved out. That is what they do. And then there will be a Brahman in that yaga, and then he will say, okay, if everybody, all his work is okay, he will just oversee if everybody is doing their work properly or not. And if somebody is not doing their work properly, then he will suggest, he will prescribe some prayaschitta to be done. So Hota, Adhvaryu, all those people will be there in Vaidhika Yajna. In the same way, when we do Mahayaga Krama for Ambal, all the Avarana Devatas are of the Ambal will be worshipped individually. From Brahmi, Matruka Devi, Akshobhya, all these Devis, all these Yoginis are there. 64 Mahachatusshashti Koti Yogini Ghanasevita Nama Pinnadi Varapurde, and I'm giving you some, this Mahayaga Kramaradhya is related to Mahachatusshashti Koti Yogini Ganasevita. When we describe that Nama, I will come back to this Nama once again. But that type of elaborate worship is called as Mahayaga Krama. It needs a lot of resources. It needs a lot of jnanam to do that Mahayaga Krama. But there is also another type of Mahayaga Krama, which is as outlined in Bhavanopanishad. There is an Upanishad called as Bhavanopanishad. It is the most important Upanishad in Sri Vidya. Just like how we have Dasopanishad. 10 Upanishads are very, very important for Vedanta. Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Munda, Mandukya, Tittiri, Chandogya, Aitareya. All these things are 10 very, very important Upanishads for Vedanta Darshana. In the same way, for Shakta Darshana as well, there are several Upanishads are very, very important. Tripura Rahasya Upanishad, Bhavanopanishad, all these Upanishads, they will tell, Devi Adarvashiko Upanishad, they will tell one of the important mantra of Ambal, or they will describe an yantra of Ambal. They will tell how to worship Ambal in that yantra. All those things will be outlined in that Upanishad. In the same way, there is an Upanishad called as Bhavanopanishad. And that whole aim of that Bhavanopanishad is to describe what is Shri Chakra Puja. We do Navavarana Puja, etc., etc. Right? What is that puja? How to really do that puja? What is that Shri Chakra? That is what the yantra, that is what the Upanishad will say. It will say, Shri Guru Sarva Karana Bhuta Shaktihi Tena Navarandhra Rupo Dehaha Navashakti Rupam Shri Chakram Varahi Pitru Rupa Kurukulla Bali Devata Mata Purushartha Sagaraha Deho Navaratna Dvipaha. It will say, our body is Shri Chakra. Shri Chakra is not some copper plate onto which some lines and letters are inscribed. No, that is Shri Chakra. Okay, you can worship that for some times in order to get Chitta Shuddhi. But the real Shri Chakra is your own body. Dehaha Navaratna Dvipaha. And then it will go on explaining what are the avaranas in Shri Chakra and what are the corresponding parts of body, parts in our own body. So the whole body is meditated upon as Shri Chakra, and the Atma that is present inside the body, Atma that is obtained inside this body is nothing but Ambal herself. She says, what is the real Shri Chakra Pujanam? Jnata Hota, Jnanam Agnihi, Jneyam Havihi, Jnana, Jnatru, Jneyanam, Abheda Bhavanam, Shri Chakra Pujanam. The Abheda Bhavana, the non-difference between the knower, known, and the means with which that object is known, is called as real Shri Chakra Pujana. Who is the knower? I am the knower. What is being known? Ambal is the one which is being known. What is the means with which, through which I know the Ambal? I know my Ambal because of Guru and the Sri Vidya Tantra. And Shastra says, Bhavanopanishad says, there is absolutely no difference between all the three. The knower I, the known Ambal, and the means of knowledge, which is nothing but the Guru or Shastra. Jnana, Jnatru, Jneyanam, Abheda Bhavanam, Shri Chakra Pujanam. That is the real Shri Chakra Puja, says Bhavanopanishad, and that is the real Mahayaga Krama. Jnana, Jnatru, Jneya Rupa, Dharma, Dharma Vivarjita. Jnana, Jnatru, Jneya. Jnana, knowledge. Jnatru, the knower. Jneya, the one which is being known. So all these three things are one and the same. They all are Ambal Swarupam. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama shloka solrom. Ishvaraha Ishvaro Guruhu Atmeti. There is no difference between Ishvara, Guru, and my own self. That knowledge is being given out by the Guru Dakshinamurti. In the same way, Ambal, as Guru Murte Twam Namami Kamakshi, gives out that knowledge, and that knowledge is called as Mahayaga Krama. If somebody does, Bhaskaracharya, who has written a great commentary on Lalita Sahasranama, he himself says in Lalita Sahasranama, okay, for this Nama, he says, okay, I have written a commentary on Bhavanopanishad as well. I have written a protocol book as to how to implement Bhavanopanishad, because Bhavanopanishad is a theory. You need some kind of manual, some kind of practice manual to implement, right? So Bhaskaracharya says, I have written a Prayoga Vidhi for Bhavanopanishad. If somebody follows that, knowing the meaning, that is called as Mahayaga Krama. All these things Shankaracharya says in four lines in Saundarya Lahari. This Bhavanopanishad is it is a not very big Upanishad, but it is also not very small Upanishad. It has got a lot of things, lot of complexities, lot of technicalities. But Shankaracharya, being Apara Karuna, he says, Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam, right? He is the Karunalayam. He says the entire, condenses entire Bhavanopanishad in 4 lines in Saundarya Lahari. Japo Jalpa Shilpam, Sakalamapi Mudra Virachana, Gadi Pradakshinya Kramanam, Ashanadyahuti Vidihi, Pranamas Samveshaha, Sukham Akhilam Atma Arpanadrisha, Saparya Paryayaha, Tava Bhavatu Yenme Velasitam. Whatever I speak, hey Ambal, let that be Japam for you. Japo Jalpaha. Jalpa means pesarad. Jalpa, Vidanta, Vada, all these things are different aspects of speech. Japo Jalpaha, Shilpam, Sakalamapi Mudra Virachana. Whatever actions I do with my hand, let that be a worship for you. In Sri Vidya, they will show a lot of mudra. Dhenu mudra is there. Trikhanda mudra is there. All these mudras are there. I don't know a lot of mudras. Acharya says you don't have to know all these mudras. If you tell the sloka, if you really mean the shlokas, then whatever actions you do, that is going to be worship for Ambal. What I don't know Panchadasakshari, I don't know Lalita Sahasranama, it is okay. If you realize the shloka, if you speak only the good thing, everything will be Japam for Ambal. Gadi Pradakshinyam Kramanam Ashanadyahuti Vidhi. I cannot go to a temple and then do 1008 namaskaras. Tomorrow, incidentally, it is Ama Somavara Vratham. Whenever Amavasya comes in Somavara, it is called as Ama Soma Vratham. And in olden days, people go to a Nadi Kare. People go to a a river bank, and then there will be an arasamaram in that river bank, and then they will do 108 pradakshanam of that arasamaram. Mahapariva says about that in his Devathin Kural. So if I cannot do, I don't have any river nearby, I am too old, even if there is a river nearby, there is no tree, what do? Gati pradakshinya kramanam, whatever moving, whatever walking I do, let that be a pradakshinam for you. Gati pradakshinya kramanam, ashanatyahudi vidihi, whatever I eat, let that be an ahuti for you. Ashanat, ahuti vidihi, whatever things I eat, let that be ahuti for you. Ashanadhyahuti vidihi. Pranamashambesha sukamakilam atmarpanadrisha saparya paryayaha tava bhavatu yenme. Let this be the paryaya. Let this be the saparya. Saparya means puja paddhati. Let me, do atmarpanam. Let me do arpanam of my entire self to you, just like how a fistful of salt will dissolve in no time in an ocean. In the same way, let myself dissolve in you. That is called as Mahayaga Krama, and called as Mahayaga Kramaradhya. With this, we will finish today's class. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I want to make two announcements. Shukla Panchami is coming soon. So for this month, the shloka for Shukla Panchami is Shatpadi Stotram. Vishnu Shatpadi Stotram, very easy shloka. It only has 6 or 7 verses. Mahapariva has written a beautiful commentary on Shatpadi Stotram in Devathin Kural. The shloka is only 6 verses, but Mahapariva has written pages and pages of explanation for that Shatpadi Stotram. If you have access to Devathin Kural, if you can read, please read it. It is a beautiful commentary on Shatpadi Stotram. We are going to chant Shatpadi Stotram for that Shukla Panchami. That is the first announcement. The second announcement is that for the next 2 weeks, on Saturday, we have Kathashravanam classes for kids on Saturday. For the next 2 weeks, it is going to be Srimad Bhagavatam. Beautiful storyteller Vidyaji is going to explain about it's going to explain the stories in Srimad Bhagavatam. So whoever are interested, please join. I will finish today's session. We will see next week. Harihi Om. Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.